Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the 5 ways you can befriend your body and ignite your inner healer. My name is Maria Noe and I am your somatic healing coach and yoga teacher. We've made it to the last episode of this series and I'm so glad to have you with me. In the first episode, we talked about orienting to our external environment using our 5 senses. We also touched upon the idea of resourcing, so finding things that bring us comfort and stability. In episode 2, we talked about orienting internally, so really tracking our sensations and noticing how we feel, finding ways to tune into our body. In episode 3, we talked about the nervous system, how the sympathetic nervous system is what activates, and the parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest. We also dove into a few other key terminologies that help us understand a little bit more about how our nervous system functions, and this idea that however we've responded to stress in the past was correct because that's your normal nervous system response that led to your survival, and survival is key. So, good job. In episode 4, I led you through a somatic grounding meditation as a means to anchor into the present moment so that our mind doesn't wander too far into the future or trail back into the past. This allows us to recognize safety in the now, which leads to a more regulated nervous system. And today, in our last episode for the series, I'll be guiding you through a short centering exercise and a little bit of breath work. So let's get started. As you know, I begin all of these episodes with an invitation to orient to your external environment, so just take a few moments to use your 5 senses and either take a look around, take a listen, notice the support beneath you, and really land and check in. Check in with your body. Find somewhere in your body that feels grounded. Find somewhere in your body that you notice support or comfort. Great. For our centering exercise, I invite you to either stand or sit, but make sure your legs aren't crossed. So you want to try to have both feet on the floor. And just begin to sway side to side, left and right. You might close your eyes as this makes it a little more fun. So imagine that you're leaning as far to one side as possible that you might even fall over, but your body catches itself. And notice how your body will calibrate to make sure that you don't fall. You might go forward and back, so if you're standing, you might come up onto your toes or lean back onto your heels, just finding that sway like a pendulum. You might even start to move in circles, really exploring the space, and don't be afraid to take up space. Slowly allow the movement to become smaller and smaller until eventually your body naturally finds ease within this center of gravity, balanced position. And once you find that center, you can either keep your eyes closed, close them if they weren't already, or just really tune into your body and notice what you notice. Next, we'll practice a breathwork technique called the 3-part breath. I invite you to bring one hand onto your belly and one hand onto your chest. Imagine as you're breathing that you're sending the breath into these 2 spaces, and then it's called a 3-part breath because the 3rd part kind of expands up through this collarbone area. So you'll inhale through the belly, expanding your belly out away like a balloon, so your hand might lift away. And then continue the inhale up into the chest, your upper hand might lift, and all the way up through the collarbone. And then exhale out from the top, so your collarbone might lower, your chest comes back in, and then your belly comes back in, belly to spine. I'll show you as it's a little easier to see this way, if I'm actually breathing. So I'll inhale. Inhale more. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Like that. The reason that this is helpful is because it really slows down your breathing. Often we know when we get super anxious or stressed or maybe even close to panic, we might begin to hyperventilate, which makes all sorts of crazy sensations happen in the body, like tingling or achiness or just accelerated heart rate. So we want to really slow down your heart rate. So this prolonged exhale as well really slows us down and reminds our body to be in that parasympathetic tone, or rest and digest state. So you can try this a few times with me, and then I'll leave you to it on your own. Together, let's inhale and send the breath low into the belly. Inhale through your nose. Continue inhaling as the breath sends and expands up into the chest, maybe even further up into the collarbone. And then exhale from the top, so allow the chest, upper lungs to deflate, and then the belly comes in, the diaphragm lifts to expel all the air. Inhale again low into the belly. Belly expands like a balloon. Inhale up into the chest, rib cage expands all the way up towards the collarbone, lifts, and then exhale, lowering back, the chest deflates, the belly deflates, pulls up and in. Last round, one more time. Inhale through the belly, all the way up through the chest, all the way up to the top, and then exhale from the top, all the way down to the bottom. Go ahead and breathe normally. Just imagine this like a wave, right? So the breath flows up the body and then goes back out from where it came. If you have any questions with this, or you'd like to practice with me, send me a message or leave a comment below. I'd be happy to explain further. Meanwhile, you can use the centering technique to help you stay present in the moment and find balance. You can connect with your breath to slow down your breathing and really tone up your parasympathetic nervous system. I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I have in sharing it with you. We covered a lot of ground, no pun intended. So we did our somatic grounding exercise in the previous episode. Before that, we talked about the nervous system and how it relates to our experience. Before that, we talked about tracking sensations in the body with an orientation towards internal experience. And in the first episode, we talked about external orientation and using our 5 senses to ground into the here and now. I hope you found this useful, and if you'd like to leave a comment on what your favorite part was, I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I look forward to continuing to connect with you here in this way. If you'd like to stay even further connected, send me a DM and I will get you hooked up. Meanwhile, be well, and I will talk to you soon.